Thank you, Alan. So this section of the conference is an opportunity for some open thinking discussion to try and see if we can tease out new ideas and opportunities, and really linking together the notions of evidence-based management and alleviating some of the pressures on salmon, and thinking about what tools do we have and where are they most appropriate. So trying to use evidence is always a challenge with salmon, because you never have quite as much as you would like. Science is on salmon is often very difficult to do, takes a long time, is expensive. And we don't have a lot of time. So there's a bit of an art developing as to how do you best use the information that is available, and how do you best focus your science resources on the absolute key issues where you've basically got hold-ups and bottlenecks. So those are some of the themes that we want to pull together as the Science Evidence Board supporting the Wild Salmon Strategy. And then Alan and I thought it would be really good, since we'll be looking from the science end of it, to also try and use this opportunity to look at it from the practical application of tools end of things, so that we can hopefully bring those together over the coming years, and we can accelerate still further what we're doing to help salmon. And there's been some fantastic talks today and some very inspirational work already really accelerating. So how do we best make sure that carries on the right track? So just as a bit of a reminder of where we are, well, we have some targets that we're aiming for in terms of adult salmon numbers and sizes. We want more salmon in good condition across wide areas of Scotland. Very often, the focus for us is to work on maximising the sizes and the condition of salmon smolts going to sea. So the two targets, maximising what's going out of smolts and obviously trying to improve things at sea also. Just to try and sum up the biology, if you like, cold, clean water is a very good logo, I think. It sums up very clearly what matters fundamentally to salmon, and easy access. These are migratory species. They need easy access at all stages, whether it be moving from their tributary burn where they were spawned, or at sea, moving past new renewable developments, for example. And clearly habitat is very important. Physical, chemical, and biotic. So physical, such things as good flows, boulders, not lots of sedimentation. Then the chemical aspect, and again thinking about successes, acid rain was a huge problem a number of decades ago, but something that it's still a problem in some parts of Scotland, but not nearly the problem it was, because the air has been cleaned up. Things can improve. And then, of course, biotic impacts, predators, parasites, competitors, and food. And then behaviours. It's very interesting when you get into the behaviour of salmon, in that caution, as I like to think of it, is a really important component, and that really links directly to survival. These fish have to be very careful when they're taking food. They need to make sure they're avoiding predators. They need to be homing, or in some cases straying, because straying allows fish to use new habitat that might be created, like the River Clyde. There's a fish coming in from elsewhere. And then growth is not a behaviour, but I've got it there because it sums up a whole lot of behaviours that influence how well the fish grow. And of course, this is what's giving us the numbers and the sizes of the fish, the survival and the growth. And of course, marine migration, very important. Fish are not coming back from seeing the numbers that they were, but some of them are coming back, and some of them are finding places to feed and grow quite well. There's still quite a lot of diversity and performance of fish, and this is really important, because selection pressures allow the next generations of salmon to evolve. So long as some are surviving and doing well, those will proliferate, and they might start to colonize areas of river and improve things. And this is what we must remember, is don't give up hope because things are on a downward trend. These animals have tremendous potential to adapt. Really important component, genetic integrity. And this is why concerns about integration, that's spawning from escaped farmed fish, and also poor stocking are such a concern. Because if you undermine the genetic integrity, which gives these fine-tuned behaviors, then you're really causing problems because you haven't got an adaptive species, you've got a maladaptive species. And then I think as Willie or Keith mentioned, population dynamics and bottlenecks, absolutely crucial. Work out where your bottlenecks are, target those, and you can have the sorts of successes that Keith was showing. So just to bear in mind, these are the basic background biological principles. And then the pressures. Now, this was a fantastic piece of work through Fisheries Management Scotland and members, and also our laboratory at Pitlochry, where there was an assessment of the best estimates, a combination of science and best expert opinion on pressures affecting salmon in Scotland. Now, I've just shown one frame here. This is the cross-Scotland average, if you like. And it just highlights some of the pressures that we might want to bear in mind this afternoon. And you can see two scales, the severity of the pressure, and then there's a trend as to whether the pressure is increasing or decreasing. And also you see these little confidence points there. That shows how confident people felt in their assessment of the pressure. So, pretty good confidence in the level of the bird predation is something that's not increasing or decreasing. It's been there persisting, basically. That was a great concern to a lot of people, and they had a lot of confidence over that one. Whereas you can see some of these points, the confidence is much smaller. Crayfish, signal crayfish are increasing. They're not thought to be such a pressure, but the confidence in that assessment is really pretty low. So this gives us a sort of a picture, if you like, of the pressures that we need to alleviate through the tools in our toolbox. If we went to different parts of Scotland, we get a slightly different map. If we were on the west coast, there would be more concern about sea lice. And if we were in the southwest of Scotland, there would be more concern about commercial coniferous forestry and acidification. So, but this gives us a general one to work with. And then interventions, these are some principles that are really worth keeping in mind as well. We think of salmon very much as a freshwater marine phase species, and indeed, in freshwater, we want to take out weirs, as we've been hearing. We want to think about how we can reduce impacts of predators. And in the marine, there are issues like bycatch that have been mentioned today that are clearly occurring in those habitats. But also, we want to keep in mind that a lot of the impacts are terrestrial and atmospheric. So terrestrial, chemical runoffs from agriculture, sediment from agriculture, shading from riparian vegetation. It's the terrestrial management that can have the biggest impact. And similarly, atmospheric management in terms of acid rain and ocean warming. So a few principles to keep in mind for our discussions, but if we can tease out and think about what are the tools we have and how do we best apply them, and we'll obviously be developing on this theme through the Wild Salmon Strategy delivery and science groups as we go forwards. So those are back to the questions. Thank you.